What is going on, NFL fans? I'm Jay all day. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And today, we're going to be talking about the most highly anticipated regular season game of the year. We have the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs, the two number one teams in each conference, square off on Monday Night Football. I'm going to have my prediction for you. Let's get into it. I think the biggest matchup we have to look forward to is the Eagles' high-flying offense and a very improved Kansas City Chiefs defense. The Eagles' offense is averaging 28 points per game, which is good enough for third in the NFL, and they're fifth in yards per game. A.J. Brown is playing like an MVP. In my opinion, he is the most valuable player in the NFL right now. 7.4 receptions per game, 111 yards per game, and 6 touchdowns on the year. He's been a game changer in pretty much every single game that he's been in, except for maybe one. In weeks 3 through 8, listen to this yards: 131, 175, 127, 131, 137, and 130. He's played in 9 games this year, 1,005 yards. OMG. He's going to be facing Kansas City's cornerback, L'Jarius Sneed, who's been very, very good. But they faced a very good corner last week with the Dallas Cowboys. 2 weeks ago with the Cowboys, because they're coming off a bye, and they torched him. The Eagles dominated that game on offense. Their defense is another story, because they continue to give up tons of points to tight ends, tons of points to wide receivers. It's not looking good. The Eagles' defensive coordinator, in my opinion, should be fired. Jalen Hurts is also having a good year, especially as of late. His last 3 games, all of them over 100 rating in those 3 games. 8 touchdowns, 1 interceptions in those 3 games, but he has been getting sacked a lot. He's been sacked at least once in every single game this season. Left tackle Jordan Mailata has been not good at all for the Philadelphia Eagles, guys. He's given up 6 sacks on the year, and I think the most of all the other guys is like 2. So he's struggling a lot. He's having trouble getting off the ball a little bit, and he's getting burned around the edge. So he needs to improve a little bit. And another thing, for Eagles fans, Dallas Goedert is out with that broken, arm, it is. So he's out for the foreseeable future. And the Eagles' running game has kind of been MIA the last few weeks, but they're finding a ton of success through the air. So that's why they're not relying on Swift and the running game as much. He is averaging 4.5 yards per carry, 68 yards per game, and he has 3 touchdowns. So he has been effective when he gets the ball. And Kansas City is very susceptible to the run, so I look for Swift to get the ball a little bit more this week than in past weeks. Back to the Eagles defense, they have allowed a 99.9 rating against the wide receiver position, which is absolute trash, man. God, their defensive coordinator sucks. And they've given up 14 touchdowns to wide receivers. OMG. And then they're even worse against the tight end position. Listen to this, guys. A rating of 130.5 this year, 5 touchdowns. If the Eagles want to win this game, they have to double team Travis Kelce. Have one guy spy him no matter what defensive look you're in. Double cover him and let one of these receivers on Kansas City beat you, because their receivers drop balls, they run bad routes, and Mahomes, because of that, has turned the ball over a lot this year. Real quick, I want to touch on the Eagles defense. They have 30 sacks this year, which is good enough for 4th in the NFL, and they're tied for 3rd in QB hits. So they are getting home, even though they don't blitz, especially in downs when you need to put pressure. 3rd and long, they like to drop back in those cover 2 zones, and they've been getting burnt all year long. So if you're getting burnt in the zone with no extra help to the 4 defenders rushing the passer, bring some help. Send a 5th guy as a blitzer. You're getting torched anyway, so what the hell's the difference? The leader in sacks for the Philadelphia Eagles is Hassan Reddick with 7.5. So they are getting home a little bit, but I do think they need to send more pressure, especially against Patrick Mahomes. If you drop back in zone, Mahomes is either going to run and scramble, or he's going to torch you to Travis Kelce and his wide receivers all day long. Okay, now on the other side of the ball, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Their defense has improved dramatically. They're only giving up 15.9 points per game, which is tied for 2nd, and yards per game allowed, they're 4th, so their defense has been really good. But there is a caveat to that. They haven't really played great teams, guys. If you look in their losses, they lost to Jared Goff and Russell Wilson and Denver. Yikes. And their 7 wins: Bears, Jets, Jags, Miami, Chargers, Vikings. There's not a lot of elite offenses in the teams that they are playing, but 31 sacks, 6th in QB hits. I mean, you can't really sneeze at that. The Kansas City Chiefs aren't necessarily playing the best offenses, but they have 3 guys with over 5.5 sacks. That's really, stacking up, man. 31 sacks for the year is extremely, extremely impressive. But Kansas City is not really good against the run. They're allowing 4.6 yards per carry versus running back. So if you're an Eagles fan, you're going to want the Eagles to run the ball down Kansas City's throat. That kind of negates the pass rush, keeps them honest a little bit. All right, guys, let's move on to Kansas City's offense. They are first in sacks allowed, only 12. 13th in points per game at 23. They're great on third down. They're 4th in the NFL in third down efficiency, and that's a killer for the Eagles, man. The Eagles defense has been getting shredded on third down all year long, so that is definitely a concern for Eagles fans moving forward and a big positive for Kansas City Chiefs fans. Travis Kelce is probably going to have a big game unless they double cover him and spy him the entire game. If I'm the Eagles defensive coordinator, I'm scheming up to stop Travis Kelce. That 130 rate against tight ends is completely unacceptable. Double team him and let one of these wide receivers beat you. I don't care if they do. You can't let Travis Kelce go off for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns, or you lose the game. If Travis Kelce has over 100 yards receiving and more than 1 touchdown, the Kansas City Chiefs will win this game, no doubt in my mind. The Kansas City Chiefs offense has not been as efficient as it has been in years past. 17 turnovers, which is 3rd worst in the NFL. Mahomes, 17 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That is the worst interception to touchdown ratio of his career. He's averaging 271 yards per game. Highest interception rate he's ever had, the lowest TD rate he's ever had, and fewest yards per game in his career. But those numbers are coming off those crazy sky-high numbers that Mahomes has been putting up over the years. He's still one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. He's just not putting up numbers that we're used to him putting up, but that's kind of like a caveat. I like Mahomes. I like this offense. I think Mahomes easily throws for over 300 yards because the Eagles' secondary against wide receivers and tight ends is absolute bush. The receivers are not good, though. They run bad routes. They drop balls. So this is why these numbers aren't as good for Patrick Mahomes. The Kansas City Chiefs don't really rely on the run game too much. They're averaging around 4 yards per carry running the ball. One thing I've noticed about this season for the Kansas City Chiefs is Patrick Mahomes is running the ball more than he should. And as a Chiefs fan, you have to be concerned about that because he could possibly get hurt, especially against a killer Eagles front 7. And then they don't really rely on the running back position too much. They're averaging around 4 yards per carry, which is not too bad. But they like to throw the ball down the field. They like to throw screens and quick passes at the tight end, and I look for them to continue to do that. So who do I think wins this game? I think the Eagles actually go on the road and get a W here, 31-28. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game for both teams. The Eagles coming off a bye is super important. They're going to be very healthy, and I think that defense plays a little bit better than people are expecting. That's why I'm predicting the Eagles to win this game 31-28. Let me know in the comments below who do you think is going to win this game. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.